Hey, good day, everybody. Here, list 31 things you can do to build $1 million business in 3 years. Well, listen, this is part one. It's a long pro. I can't go all through 31 in one sitting, but then we're going to do 15 or 16, and then next week we will cover the rest of it. Really, really great stuff. So, number one, realize that you are the problem. The business you build will be a direct extension of you. Its DNA will mirror your own beliefs, motivations, worldviews, strengths, and weaknesses. If you're experiencing a problem in your business, it's because you haven't yet developed a capacity for something that the world requires you to learn in order to move forward on your path. So the bottom line is, as you build your business is going to be about you. It's going to mirror who you are, the skills you have, the knowledge you've acquired, the awareness that you've developed over time. Everything about it is you. So it's really important. So when things aren't going well, it's important for all of us to realize that we're really the problem. There's something that's deficient, something we need to add, something we need to correct. So it's really important you look at it that way, because if you look outside yourself as for what the problem is, you're never going to solve the real problem, which is always us. When I would have a difficult time, or I would have a rough week, or I would go on try to close a transaction that for whatever reason didn't close, my first instinct was to say, okay, Hector, what do you need to do to get better this doesn't happen in the future? How can you make sure that you rectify, you develop the skill sets, or you develop the knowledge you need in order for this not to be an issue going forward? So every time something didn't work out for me, I was thinking about how could I get better so that I wouldn't have that issue going forward. And that's the way you need to look at it, because what most people do is they blame things or other people or whatever. And you don't want to do that. That is a recipe for mediocrity. You're not going to get where you want to go if you're looking outside yourself for the reason you're not doing well. Number two, address the issues at their core. One of the main challenges for a new business, for example, is to get enough clients. I mean, that's always the issue. It's always about prospecting. It's always about finding new clients. And if you want to be successful in any business, really, every business requires clients, people that buy from you, use your service or whatever. You need to be great. You need to become a fanatical prospector. That's number one. If there's not enough of them, you might be tempted to view it as a marketing problem. While that's true, there's more to it than that. At a deeper level, it's also probably an empathy and generosity problem on behalf of the person in charge of marketing, which is you, by the way. If this person's not wired to solve other people's problems and doesn't experience joy from a pure act of giving, teach them about USPs and SEO will be a poor investment of time. I don't know what that means, actually, but the bottom line is this. It's always a marketing problem. Sometimes it's a product, but assuming you have a good product that people can use or need or that they really want, or it's really a marketing issue. It's really about getting the word out. It's really about having people take a look at what you're doing so they can make a decision about whether they want to, be involved with your company or not, or be involved with you or not. And so it's always a marketing problem, and it always comes back to prospecting. Look, if you think about prospecting, there's a lot of different ways to prospect. One of the things that most major companies, like Coca-Cola, for example, they spend over $1 billion a year on marketing and advertising. That's their way of getting to people, to remind people how great Coke is and how much you want to have it and that sort of thing. But they're always doing their marketing nonstop. Everywhere you go, you'll see advertising for Coca-Cola or other products for that matter. It doesn't matter really what it is. Apple. I mean, if you're watching TV, you're seeing these commercials. That's really just marketing. It's really prospecting. They're trying people to become aware of what they're doing, to take a look at it, to maybe try it and give it a go. So that's really your job, and you're building your business. You've got to be that person that does that. Number three, embrace personal growth. This is a really, really pet peeve of mine, because I know without a shadow of a doubt that my focus on personal growth is probably the number one factor for the success that I've enjoyed in my business life and even in my personal life. So it's personal growth. You should have a personal growth agenda that you follow, that you're very disciplined at doing. Your business is a giant classroom in which you'll get an opportunity to learn about your own barriers, and if you're willing to move past them. Sometimes people say, well, I'll do this, but I won't do that, or I don't feel comfortable doing this. And one of the things that you need to get over is being comfortable. If you're going to become successful, you're not going to be comfortable on the way there. I guarantee it. You know, people all ask me, how did you get yourself to do it? How do you stay motivated? Because I was more interested in being successful than being comfortable. If I was interested in being comfortable, there's no way I would have ever had the success I've enjoyed. And for you, if your focus is on being comfortable, you have no chance to really succeed on a grand scale. You just don't. So you need to embrace personal growth. All of that discomfort is you growing. The aim is to use your role as a business founder, right, as a business owner, as an opportunity to grow as a human being, which will, in turn, bring about happiness and fulfillment, not to use in your business as a vehicle to build fame and fortune in order to bring happiness. It won't, okay? So you look at it like one of the things I said, okay, when I first started my business, I was just mediocre, just okay. But what I thought about was, okay, Hector, if you keep working on yourself, if you grow your skill sets, if you grow your knowledge, if you really become a pro, if you do hard work that all pros do to become masters at their craft, over time, even though you're not doing anything close to what you want to be doing right now, over time, if you don't ever let up on that, you're going to start moving in that direction, and before you know it, you're going to be great at your business, and when you become great, money follows greatness. And so I was always thinking about how can I get better. Even today, even to this day, I'm reading constantly. If you follow me on Twitter at Hector La Marque, or you look at my website, HectorLamarque.com, everything about what I'm doing is about growing, about getting better, about growing my skill sets, growing my knowledge, knowing more, being able to help more people, because in the end, your ability to help people get what they want is really what's going to allow you to have success in your business. So if people want, like in my business, people want to be debt-free, or they want to be able to retire well, or they want to have more security in their life financially, or they want to make more money. So my goal is to help get what they want. If I help enough people get what they want, then all the things that I want automatically happen. It just happens that way. And that's what I always focus on. How can I help this client? How can I help this teammate, become more successful? How can I help them get what they want? And when you have that focus every day, your goal to help people get what they want, I promise you will be getting what you want. It'll just happen organically, okay? Number 4, believe that final destination is a myth. When I was starting out, this gentleman said, I watched too many YouTube videos in which business founders talked about millions of dollars and being bought by Google in the space of 6 months. This led to me to be distracted by the promise of a magic, fictitious destination where I have made it. There are no struggles, no threats, and let's just, well, that's fantasy land, okay? I don't care what business you're in. It doesn't matter what you do. Every business has its issues. My daughter is a screenwriter and a director, right? And so putting together a screenplay, finding investors, there's so to it that it's not some easy road. You look at people that are like a Spielberg, who's had gigantic success, is a multi-billionaire today. That didn't just happen overnight, and he had struggles along the way. Did he have a lot of success? Absolutely, because he's a master of his craft. But the bottom line is there's no business on the planet that doesn't have issues as you're building it. That business doesn't exist. Every single one has that problem. I was reading an article the other day. Bob Parsons of GoDaddy, he founded GoDaddy, and he had another business before he started GoDaddy, and he ended up selling that business for $65 million. And then he started another business, which ultimately ended up being GoDaddy. And while he was doing that, it just wasn't going well. He had $65 million, and he said, okay, I'm going to spend until I have I've got $35 million left. And then things still weren't working out. So then he kept on going, and he got down to like $20 million. And then, he was thinking about quitting, but he just kept on going. And ultimately his $65 million dropped all the way down to $6 million. He said that if I had had a partner, there's no way I would have been able to do that, because no partner would have put up with letting all that cash go. But he did that, and then all of a sudden, the dot-com era exploded. That's when everything went to heck in a handbasket. He ended up doing a couple of commercials, kind of risque commercials on the Super Bowl. And from that, all of a sudden, he could barely afford it, but all of a sudden that kick-started his business. In fact, they didn't even show both of them because they thought they were too risque. They only showed one. and it took off, and now, you know, he's worth about $2 billion now. And all that came, it wasn't easy. He struggled along the way. In fact, most people would have, you know, he was thinking, if I lose all my money, I'm going to go and become a, you know, what do you call those guys that deal cards in casinos or whatever. But anyways, he ended up making it, and now he's super wealthy and super successful. But he had problems along the way. And if you look at, you know, I've read hundreds and hundreds of biographies and autobiographies over the years, and one thing I found that all highly successful people had in common is they had a lot of problems on their way to becoming highly successful. Everybody thinks that they were lucky or they're just born that way. Well, that's not true. I know it's not true of me, and so you need to, you know, not believe that that things are easy or that there are no struggles or no threats or little stress. Every business has its issues. It just does. Number 5, enjoy the process of building a business. This is really important. The reality of achieving business goals is that every time one's reached, a new set of challenges present themselves, some of which were not relevant or visible at earlier stages. It means that the very process of building a mature business has the effect of moving goalposts back hardwired into it. A business that's struggling to define its value proposition, for example, has little concern for refining processes and writing manuals. However, one that's trying to scale will view those as a priority. The lesson here is to cease aiming for a future where life is effortless and learn to enjoy the day-to-day challenge of solving new problems. I think that paragraph is really important. Let me repeat it. The lesson here is to cease aiming for a future where life is effortless, because that's never going to happen. It could be easier, but effortless, no. And learn to enjoy the day-to-day challenge. In other words, be present. Take each thing as it comes. Don't worry about what happened yesterday, and don't worry about what's going to happen tomorrow. Focus on being great and doing all you can to make today, make right now the best possible situation. Do the work right now. And so, I mean, there's a great saying, I used to have this on my desk, do it now, right? Or do the most productive thing possible at every given moment. Do it now. And if you do that and you just stay focused on that and you don't get ahead of yourself, and you don't look backward for all the mistakes you made. Nobody cares. That's over now. Future doesn't exist because it's not here yet. The past doesn't exist because it's already past. It's done. There's only now. So focus on what are you doing right now that could move you towards where you want to go. Number 6, don't let your time be easily wasted. This is huge. You need to really look at your time as very valuable, because it is, because it's the one thing that all of us have equal amounts of. We all have 24/7. Nobody has more than that. We have the same amount of time. So really how you end up is how you utilize those 24 hours. What do you do with the hours that you have at your disposal? Because you're either investing those hours into something that could have a return, or you're spending those hours, which means you're not going to get a return. So are you spending your hours, or are you investing your hours? Well, only you know the answer to that, but make sure if you want to be successful that you're investing those hours. Results are a product of your effort multiplied by traction. The problem is that when you're starting out, you don't really know what you're doing, so you don't have much traction. That's really true. Even when I first started, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't understand the business totally. It took me about 3 years to really understand what I needed to be doing all the time and what was the most productive. I found out a lot of the things when I first was building my business were a waste of time and energy, like working with unmotivated people. And I used to work with unmotivated people, and I was just wasting my time. I was spinning my wheels. I was pouring, water into a bucket with holes in it. And when I figured out to really only work with motivated people, then my business really took off, right? I mean, I wasn't wasting my time anymore. So it means that a lot of your effort and possibly money is wasted on spinning your wheels in the mud. You simply haven't yet figured out which of your actions create the most value, and that's totally normal. You just got to keep going, and you'll figure out that I'm not doing that anymore because it's a waste of time. This is what I'm going to do because this is what brings me success. This is what brings me brings value to my business. And if you focus on what, little by little, you start figuring out what should I be doing, then you're going to start having great success. Like in my business, it's all about prospecting. If I'm not prospecting all the time, then I can't find new clients and I can't find new agents and I can't grow my business. So I need to be prospecting nonstop. So anything that's not prospecting or moving in the direction of acquiring new clients or acquiring new agents, for me, is a waste of time. So I need to be focused on that. And so you need to figure out what that is for you in your business. Number 7, believe that Willie Allen was right. 80% of success is showing up. Well, this leaves you with just one other variable which leads to results, the amount of effort you put in. I mean, what most people, you need to really be putting in about 10 times more effort than you're actually putting in. Most people never work anywhere close to as hard as they need to, and they don't prepare anywhere close to as much as they need to either. So if you're juggling your business commitments with a desire to maintain a healthy social life, attending yoga classes, playing golf, playing bowling, playing softball, being a great parent, looking fashionable, cooking nutritious meals, taking regular holidays, you might find that you're a startup founder more in theory than practice. So when you decide you're going to do something, you need to totally commit. Most people are trying to have this perfect idyllic life on their way to trying to be successful, but I'm sorry, that doesn't work, because you've got to make a business work, you've got to be focused like a laser beam. You can't be allowing distractions. You can't be allowing distracting people in your life or any distractions. You got to get mega focused. You got to eliminate all the negativity, all the negative people, all the things that are going to suck up energy that you need to build your business. Number 8, sacrifice 3 things. For someone who decided to build a business, learning to constantly pick battles which you want to fight and win is critical. If you're not saying no to most of the requests for time and money from yourself and others, you're probably sabotaging your success as an entrepreneur. Chances are your current life is not set up in a way that's helpful for building a business. Decide which 3 significant demands on your time and money you're willing to give up in order to make room for your startup. Be honest with yourself. Are you prepared to abandon hobbies, let go of friendships, or move to a cheaper area to chase your entrepreneurial dreams? I mean, you're going to have to make commitments. Like for me, I used to play, when I first got started, I was a tennis player. I played number 1 on my college tennis team. I used to play tournament tennis even after I got out of college. And I loved playing tennis. For me, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. But I figured, if I'm going to be successful, I can't be investing time playing tennis and practicing and all the things that go along with being competitive in that arena where there's no money. I was an amateur. I wasn't a professional, so I wasn't going to make any money. So for me to continue doing that when I started my business was just stupid. So I gave that up. I stopped playing, and I focused on my business, and thank God I did, because my business took off after that. And I think you need to be really aware. What are you doing with your time? Where is it being spent or invested? Because you're doing one or the other, and you better make sure, if you're serious about being an entrepreneur and being successful, that you're investing your time and not spending it. Number 9, don't be a hipster. Man, I see a lot of hipsters in L.A. Building a business is quite the trend these days. You see fashionable-looking people with Macs at cafes and think that's what your life would look like if you were an entrepreneur. Don't be fooled. Most of those people do not have a real business, even if they do hand you a business card with a fancy title. I'll get to that shortly. Take an honest and hard look at your motivations. If you're drawn to entrepreneurship mainly because of perceived glamour of it all, you won't survive. Most of it's very, very, very non-glamorous. A good test for examining your true motivations is the amount of sacrifice you're prepared to make. Well, most people really aren't willing to sacrifice to the extent they need to be successful, which is why most people are never successful. But the ones that do, and they stay at it, and they get better, and they focus on what they're trying to do and what their ultimate goal is, they make it happen, and then they have this great life, and everybody thinks they're lucky. Well, let me tell you something. There's no such thing as luck. It is where preparation meets opportunity. Are you prepared to be successful? Well, if not, you better get busy doing that. Number 10, understand why business isn't glamorous. The idea of starting a business like Uber or Airbnb might seem cool until you consider that you're simply in the business of selling cheap transportation or accommodation and being hated by a lot of people in the process. Man, if you're Uber, you kidding me? The taxi business, they hate Uber. I mean, they don't like them even a little bit. I think Uber's awesome because it's super easy to use. It's very inexpensive compared to using a taxi. But you know what? If you own a taxi business, you hate Uber. Most successful companies in the world sell very boring products. For example, toothpaste, consumer goods, paper towels, toilet paper, gadgets, clothes, cars, etc. boring, for the most part, boring products. REL sells job search tools. It's not glamorous at all. However, what's important to me as one of the founders of the business is not the perceived glamour value of our products, but the quality of the problem that our business has been built to solve. That's really important. You know, people want to sell glamorous things. You know, I'm selling financial service products, but, you know, imagine selling, jet airplanes or something like that. Well, the problem is you got to focus on, what's the perceived glamour value of your products, not that, but the quality of the problem that your business has been built to solve. What problems are you solving? So you want to make money, then you need to either solve a lot of problems or solve some big problems, one of the two. In my business, we solve a lot of little problems. Some businesses solve big problems. It just depends. But if you're going to make big money at anything, it's your ability to solve people's problems that allows you to make money. Instead of looking at problems like they're a negative thing in your life, you start looking at them, how can I solve this problem and how can I turn that into a money-making enterprise? That's what you should be thinking. Number 11, find a problem worth fixing. I'm passionate about REL's mission because I know that the recruitment industry is rapidly changing, which means more and more talented people are getting overlooked by employers. To me, that's a problem worth fixing. And our job search tools, this is, I guess, their business, are one of the ways to help people get noticed. Always start with the problem that you want to fix and work back to the product. Don't be surprised if most people think your product's boring. People who you're building the product for won't. So, like in my business, the problem that people have is they are underinsured, they're not saving enough money. In most cases, they're not saving any money, really. And they don't have a plan to get debt-free and financially independent. And they want to be able to send their kids to college. They want to be able to retire well. They want to have less stress in their life financially. They want to make more money. So those are all problems that I know how to solve, and I'm very good at solving. So I just focused on finding people that wanted those problems fixed, which is, it's the vast majority of people out there. If you're presenting in my case, if you're presenting it correctly and you really get people to understand that you can actually help them get where they want to go financially, then it's not very difficult to close transaction, and it's really not very difficult to get people on board and become, representatives within the company if you know what you're doing. If you really see that problem solving is the way. In my business, I solve problems. I teach people how to be successful in my business. People want to be more successful. They want to make more money. I teach them how to do that, so I solve that problem for them. And so you're going to think of what's the problem in your business that you are really proficient at solving, and then go to town. Let people know what you're doing. Let the whole world know. I mean, you need to be your biggest advocate. You need to be screaming from the mountaintops. You need to let people know who you are, what you're doing, and how you can help them solve the issues that they have in their life that you are able to solve. And that's how you get clients, and that's how you grow your business. Number 12, utilize every single minute. I'm a little extreme in how I operate. Make a few examples just to give you the context for how I chase higher levels of productivity. I typically work in hyper-focus mode for 10 hours a day. Most mornings I'm at my desk by 7:15, having already been to the gym. This is not me, by the way. This is similar to me, though. But this is what this gentleman here that wrote this article is talking about. Having already been to the gym, I also keep an iPad in the toilet to leverage my time. A little gross, but if it works. Before my bathroom calls up, I typically flick through a few articles on my Feedly reader in order to get up speed with the latest news and schedule in a few tweets via Sprout Social, which I don't know what that is. Maybe someone has figured out a way to build a business whilst living a well-balanced life. I have not yet met such a person, and it's certainly not been me, and I will testify to that. I don't know of any business that you're building where you can have a balanced life in the beginning stages where actually trying to get it off the ground and have it be successful. It takes mega energy, and so you can't be having some super balanced life. I wish you could, but you just can't. It's just not possible. You might say, but everything's about balance. Well, that's BS. I don't know any highly successful person that had a balanced life in the beginning. Maybe, now I have a balanced life in the other direction where I spend way much more time with my family and doing things I want. But when I was building my business, no way, no how, no way, no shape, no form, not possible. You're going to experience the same thing. But you know what? I'm so glad I did it because now I have an incredibly balanced life. And that was all because I built a successful business, and you will too. If you save your money, you pay off your debt, you get yourself free, you can have an amazingly balanced life. Because I personally don't think that it's possible for one simple reason. The business is a competition, and your competitors are running forward, not strolling along. It's really true. Every business is a competition, and everybody that you're competing with is running forward. They're not like casually strolling along. They're trying to make it happen. The really motivated ones are doing all the nasty hard work that you don't want to do, or that most people don't want to do, and that's just the way it is. So this balanced life, forget it for right now. Of course you can have it down the road, but right now when you're building, it's not going to happen. Number 13, know that cash flow is king. Irene and I had no savings to fall back on, so we had to find a way to generate a profit quickly. To be specific, when we started, we had less than 1 month worth of wages in the bank. That's a little risky, but he did it. If we didn't get some clients during that period, we'd have to abandon our startup idea and get jobs. Oh, my God, scary. Having our backs to the wall like that was not comfortable, but it taught us a lesson. Lack of cash can be a great for creating results fast. Being comfortable typically leads to sloppy thinking and wastefulness. So it's totally true. You need to have cash flow. In my business, one of the first thing I look at when I'm looking at my representatives' numbers, I look at their cash flow, because I know that's, if their cash flow is growing, if their cash flow is solid, if their cash flow is good, then I know they're going to be mentally, they're going to be in a good shape, and they're going to continue to go. If their income starts going down, I know I've got a problem there, that these people are on their way out the door. So that's one of the reasons I'm such a proponent of teaching people how to be professional salespeople, because that's how you make money. If you can't close a transaction, if you can't close people to get involved in your business in some way, shape, or form, whether as a client or not as a representative, then you can't grow your income. So you have to learn how to close. Learning to be a professional salesperson, in my estimation, is the smartest thing anybody in any business can learn, because it makes being successful at your business easier. It also makes being successful in life much easier. You get what you want. You learn how to get what you want. And one of the great things of being a professional salesperson, you don't take advantage of people. You help people get what they want, so you get what you want. That's what a pro does. Accept that you're selfish. Because I got into entrepreneurship primarily because of my own selfish reasons, and so did I. I wanted to be debt-free. I wanted to be financially independent. I wanted to never have a boss again. I wanted to have a really fantastic life. It was completely selfish, okay? I also understood that in order for me to get all the things, I had to help people get what they wanted, okay? But I did it for selfish reasons, and I'm not ashamed to say that. There's nothing wrong with that, because in the process of me being selfish, I helped a lot of people. And I'm still doing that every day. We're helping thousands of people every month within my business, because I was selfish about creating the life of my dreams. And there's nothing wrong with you having a focus on that, because you can't get there without helping other people. You can't get there without solving problems for people. So instead of looking at that as a negative, it's not a negative. It's a positive. You got to look at what are the ramifications. What spins off of that? Well, in my case, I've helped many, many, many people be financially successful. I've helped many people either directly or indirectly take care of their families in the event of a premature death of a breadwinner. I've helped people get debt-free. I've helped people get financially independent. I've helped a lot of people, because I could not have been successful without doing that first. So being selfish is fine. Accept it. There's nothing wrong with it. I know it has a negative connotation, but in this respect, when you're trying to be successful, there's nothing negative about it. He goes, specifically, I wanted to experience fulfillment from getting to build something every day, and I didn't like the idea of just swapping my life for money, like your time for an hourly wage. I don't use the word selfish in a negative sense here. Everyone becomes an entrepreneur for selfish reasons. For most people, building a business is a path to having more personal power, fulfillment, or freedom in their life. That's it. That's why people do it. Now, it has a lot of positive, ramifications, but the bottom line, people start businesses to make money, to build a life of their dreams. That's what they do it for. Yeah, sure, they want to make a contribution and all that, but in the end, it's really selfish. But it's selfish in a good way, because good things come from that. And then lastly, and next week we'll have the second part of this, become an expert at creating win-win situations. However, being selfish creates an interesting problem. As soon as you decide that you're officially in business, as I mentioned earlier, that's what happens. As soon as you look at that, you got to look at creating a win-win situation, because even if you are being selfish, you have to create win-wins within your business for it to be successful. Like for me, if I bring on somebody into my business and I start working with them, mentoring, coaching them, training them, okay, so I'm creating, my goal is to create a successful individual, to create another outlet of productivity. That's my goal, okay? But my win is if they do that, then I do better, right? I do better financially. But also for them, they do better because of my expertise of knowing how to do the business, knowing how to build a business, knowing how to teach them how to do it so they can have better results, have a great results, in fact. They win from that. So, yes, definitely I'm going to win from that, but so are they. So you empowering these people, teaching them, coaching them, training them, mentoring them, right, in my business, allows them to become more successful, but in turn I become more successful. It's like every successful relationship has a mutually beneficial effect for both parties. So if both people aren't benefiting from the relationship, the relationship's going to blow up. It's going to end. Like in marriages, what happens, one person is give, the other person is take, and then what ends up happening, the relationship blows up. So both people have to be bringing something to the table. So if you want to have successful relationships, you got to make sure that both of you are offering something of value to that relationship to make the relationship viable. And if you're not doing that, if you're not creating win-wins, you're going to have issues. Part 2 next week.